Cool. Welcome to another episode of Small Talk on the Mats. We are on the next episode. Today I'm honored to speak with someone I admire deeply, not just because she's my sister, but because she wears three incredibly powerful titles: a mother, an author, and a Marine. She's very successful in every aspect of life. She's accomplished a lot, and she just released her first book, Once Upon a Time. So go show your support, by the way, and buy yourself or someone else a copy that you know. Ladies and gentlemen, I am proud to introduce my next guest, my sister, Whitney Berkhan.
Hello.
What's up,
Hi.
sis? How you doing?
Hello. I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Thank you for having me here. I appreciate
Of course, sis.
it.
I'm honored to have you on my podcast. So what I do here on my podcast is I have a series of questions to ask you. They're each
hmm
categorized. For you, I got four categories. Okay. So
Yeah.
we'll dive deep into it. It goes pretty quick, to be honest. And if you want to elaborate on any of the questions, feel free. This episode is just on you, about you. So brag about yourself as
Thank
much as you
you.
want
I
and as you can.
appreciate it.
Of course, sis. Cool.
I'm not the
So,
best at talking about myself, so we'll do our greatest. I wrote a book, obviously, so
yeah,
that way people can read it.
gotcha. Well, I'll brag for you if I got to fill in the spots. So,
Thank you.
yeah,
I
sis.
appreciate it.
All right, cool. So the first category is going to be on the marine life. I
Oh.
got five questions for you, so we'll go ahead and jump into
hmm
it. The first question is, what led you to enlist into the Marines? And to caveat off that question, was there a specific moment or influence?
So, okay. Joining the military was more of something that I don't want to make it sound so cliche, but at the same time, it was just something to make me feel good about myself. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Um, it was not just to be a better person or to go out there saving lives. Boom, boom, boom. You know what I mean? It was never for that reason. It was just more of something that I'm able to say, oh, that makes me feel really good. I'm able to test my limits. I'm able to, push myself. And the Marine Corps was able to allow me to do that. Um, yeah, that's really what made me want to enlist in the military, honestly, because, a lot of pointers in my life, a lot of moments in my life, it was just very negative.
Yeah.
And when you have that type of negativity and you're carrying around with you, you have this like idea of who you are of yourself, or this type of thought in your head that's just always telling you you're not capable or you're stupid, those kinds of thoughts.
Yeah.
And my way of overturning that is just really, really putting myself out there in a certain way that I didn't think I could do or I didn't think was possible. And I was able to, like, be in that place, which hence the Marine Corps, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Okay.
um, those were the moments that were able to influence me pretty much. So,
Okay. Yeah. And what
mhm.
was do you remember like a specific moment where you're like, I'm doing it, I'm committing? Like, do you remember that day, that specific moment?
It's crazy that you say that because it's not just one moment.
Okay.
It's not. It was a lot of moments because, you have those downfalls consistently in your life that are trying to stop you from reaching your goals. I had a lot of that, you know. I don't want to say too much of what happened when I joined the military, but when I was trying to join, there was a lot of obstacles that I was hitting,
Yeah.
and those obstacles was basically almost forcing me to give up.
Okay.
I wouldn't be here if I didn't obviously give up, if I didn't have that resiliency, if I didn't have that. And you don't really necessarily have to have that. You kind of just have to do it step by step,
Yeah.
and um, So it's a lot of moments that were like, no, don't join. No, don't do that. No, you're not capable. And even in myself, it's not just outside forces, it's more of inside. I was drinking a lot. I was doing things I shouldn't do.
Mm-hmm.
I was falling into a deep hole. Even while joining the military, I was still on that, crazy, wild phase. But I was doing it step by step,
Okay.
and you got to think about the small things, really, and not the big things,
Gotcha. Okay.
just to get to there.
Yeah. So it was a collection of moments. I gotcha. Okay.
It was really big collection of moments. It was, getting divorced and dealing with, things that you shouldn't be dealing with.
Yeah.
You can't be putting yourself with. But I was able to do it. And I have a lot of people to thank for that, honestly. It's not just me. It was a lot of support that, was able to help me get me there.
Okay.
So
Gotcha. All right. Yeah. Like I said, I admire you, sis, for building that and getting where you are today. So good
thank
answers.
you.
My next
Thank you.
question to you is: how does your time in uniform shape how you handle challenges today?
Oh, now let's talk about this, okay?
Let's.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to tell you something right now. Being in the military is not, I mean, people say it all the time. They get in the military and a year or two in, oh, I'm not going to re-enlist. I hate this. I know this shit sucks. It's always the same thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, what did you expect?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Damn right.
it's like, honestly,
Oh no.
you were signing up to like come here, you were signing up to get yelled at, you were signing up to do all this stuff, you were aware about it, you were aware of these things, you know
Mm-hmm.
and it was like, for myself, I was aware of that. And I don't know if it's because we grew up with that type of intensity, you and I, we grew up with that type of, you need to do this, you need to do that, and coming in here, it kind of fit for us, at least. You're in the military and I'm in the military. Um, so, leading to the question, how it shapes myself,
Mm-hmm.
um, it's still shaping me.
Yeah.
I'm still dealing with a lot of challenges today. Uh, my leadership, the type of person I am in and out of uniform. And honestly, I don't think I'm the best at it. I don't think I'm the greatest when it comes to having that type of empathy, when it comes to being that type of leader. But you know what, at the end of the day, I know in those moments I am only doing my best,
Mm-hmm.
for my mental, for their mental, and I also am trying to balance, the type of morals that I carry, the type of principles that I carry, and then you also have to fit it into the military. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like I only am trying to do my best, and honestly, I want to be able to be there for other people without them knowing that I'm being there for them.
Okay.
And I tell my Marines every day, well, not every day, every other time,
Yeah.
I don't ever want you to look up to me. I don't want to be your type of recognition. I don't want to be your role model because I'm not perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I'm only doing my best, and I only expect them to do the same.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
I know I didn't get here by walking the path in a straight line, and I
Yeah.
don't expect them to, but I have to still be the type of person that's able to uphold those types of principles.
Okay.
So I feel like it's, my time in uniform, it shapes me to do my best every day and yell at people every day.
Yes. Hell yeah.
But it's not about that. It's just, being in the military, you have to have certain standards.
Hmm.
You have to uphold certain, principles, and I try to do my best in that.
Yeah.
I try to still be a friend, and yeah,
Yeah.
especially when you're growing up in the military, you can't really be too much of a friend.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because then, they try to dab it up and stuff like that, but
Yeah. Yeah. That's
it's not always like
I,
that.
I think that answer shows the humility that you have, sis. So that's a good answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're very humble about it, and which I think you're I don't know what you
Thank you.
Marines call each other. What like your Joe? We call our younger and our younger listed like our Joes. Like my squad, I call them my Joes, but I don't know what you guys call yours. Um, but I think
Well,
they.
I don't say it, but, they call them Jews.
Oh, okay,
I think,
gotcha.
I don't know.
Okay,
Or wait,
yeah,
I think that's junior enlisted warrior, the Jews. Yeah,
okay,
I don't
I
know.
gotcha.
I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah,
into
yeah,
that. Like that little lingo that
yeah.
younger generation
The
has.
military
They
slang,
kind of have
but for
that.
the Gen Zs and the fucking military, they got their own
Yeah.
military slang. Okay, of
I'm
course.
not so involved. I don't know if it's because I'm like so. I don't know. It's just
Yeah,
sometimes I'm just like, hey, don't say that.
yeah. No, you got to school these punks, man. They're getting.
But it's so different for me,
Yeah.
and I just want to like point this out because I understand that I'm in the military and blah 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 blah. But a lot of people don't get that, which they sometimes do through their attitude.
Yeah.
I am a woman.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm in a shop full of guys.
Yeah.
This is I hear ludicrous things. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And there's moments in part of the days where I'm like, okay, I'm chilling. I can some kind of get involved in these conversations. And then there's moments where I'm just like so freaking overwhelmed by like certain things.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It's crazy you say
there's
that.
yeah, I have to point that out because being a woman in the military is a totally different story.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's different from being a man, being having this, natural ego.
Hmm.
And I had to build that ego.
Yeah.
So when I say, I'm yelling at these guys or I'm doing this and doing that, principles, standards, I have to try to evolve myself around that
Yeah.
because I can't just be a man and just like, you know, be okay with all these things and still be respected.
Hmm. Yeah.
Being a
Yeah.
woman is totally different.
Yeah.
Let me act like that. Let me pursue those types of behavior and still try to maintain professionalism. They won't respect you,
Yeah.
you know? And
Yeah. It's so
being a man
crazy.
is totally different.
Yeah. Like.
It's weird. I see it every day,
Yeah.
even being approached or even being talked to, it's
Yeah.
always like straight to the man.
Yeah.
You
That's
know?
wild because I think you mentioning that like because now women are being more women are coming into the infantry now in the army. I don't know about the Marines, but um, like I can't see it from obviously I can't see it from a woman's view, but seeing it from a an outside view of what you're explaining is crazy because before women started coming into the infantry, it was just all men. We could openly talk about whatever the fuck we want, right?
Yeah.
We're in the barracks, fucking running around, dick swinging all over the place. But
Yeah.
now it's a new fucking military. Like you can't do that, or you'll get fucking I don't know what they call it in the Marine Corps, but sharp, like sexual assault and harassment prevention, whatever, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure every branch has their own version of it. I don't know what the acronym is, but
Sapper.
okay. So yeah, now they're cracking down on everything now that more women are being incorporated into the infantry, and you got to watch what you say sometimes. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and even so, like you're part of the bros even at times. But yeah, yeah, it's crazy that you're
Yeah.
saying that because I'm seeing it from an outside view of what you're explaining to me right now. So it's nice to hear
Yeah.
what you're experiencing, because now we can look at it, and all the men watching can, in the military, can understand a perspective of
Hmm.
how it is for women, right? So
Yes.
very interesting. Good. I'm glad you brought that up.
Thank you.
My next
I'm
question.
glad I brought.
My next question: how was your military experience, or how has your military experience shaped your view of leadership?
I think I kind of answered this earlier, but I'm doing my best every day, brother. I don't know what type of leader I am.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Honestly, I just want to be there for others. I just want to make sure I'm doing what's best for me and having others see that.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to pick up John Doe over there from the bar or anything. I'm not saving this person's life from having NJP or another counseling. I'm not doing that. I am doing what's best for me, physical fitness, you know, consistently working, taking care of my family. I'm doing what's best for me in order for them to view that. So that way, it's basically setting an example. You know,
Yeah.
um, it's just the type of leader I am right now.
Okay.
I'm trying to carry myself mentally. I feel like the military in general has, I mean, it's just all the also like other things, my personal life that has been taking a toll on me. But right now, I'm only doing my best. That's really all I can say about that.
Yeah.
I can't really speak for others because I could say that I'm a good leader.
Mm-hmm.
I could say, oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Oh, hey, how are you doing?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they're going to be like, oh my God, she's so fucking annoying. She's such a bitch. you know,
Haters gonna
I mean,
hate.
I don't mind. I love it when people talk about me, but
Yeah.
you just, they can, they can say what they want to say.
Yeah.
They can view me how they want to view me.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
I'm only going to stand here and do my best in the military and as a wife and as a mother.
Okay. That's good. I think from already in the first three questions, I think people can already get an idea of who you are as a person, sis. So you're doing good. Question number 4: what's something about Marines that civilians often misunderstand,
This is a
besides
hard question.
their favorite flavor of crayons?
First of all, it's black. Um, well, at least for me. Um, we're not machines or anything. We are also human.
Okay.
Um, it's kind of a hard question to answer, only because we're not so involved in this idea that like, oh, civilians and Marines, you know, civilians probably think that,
Yeah.
but we don't. At least for myself, I feel like when I go out there, sometimes it does feel a little bit weird, but I'm still also human.
Mm-hmm.
And just because I'm in the military, it doesn't make me any better. You know,
Yeah.
I've explained it. It's like I'm no better than anybody out there.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of civilians, they kind of just think this idea that like, oh, the military, and especially with everything going on, yes, we follow orders. Sorry, my bad. I want to keep my job.
Yeah.
But it's like we are still human.
Mm-hmm.
We still have a family. We still have a life.
Yeah.
We still care about those that we love. You know,
Yeah.
we still, stay up late at night and TikTok. We still take off our boots the same way. We still shower, in a different order, but the same way. Like we are still human.
Yeah.
Um, I think the only reason why some civilians think so differently about the Marines and is because you have those actual like people that are fucking miraculous, at being Marine.
Yeah.
They're like absolutely superb, like kind of like you're just like you have this aura of you that's just like damn, and I don't blame them
Hmm.
because it's like wow, like they uphold like crazy standards and they're fucking badass. They have all these, crazy awards. They're here and they're there. They stand out, and I feel like that's why they stand out. It's probably no different than a celebrity, but personally, and I maybe for them as well, we're still human.
Hmm. Yeah.
At the end of the day.
You know what's cool?
So
It's a fun little fact right here. I'm going to tell you. I don't think I've ever told anybody, but I had the opportunity to enlist um, in high school before I got into crazy trouble. No, I think before I was
mhm,
eligible for enlistment. I think I was 17 years old. And I don't know if you remember, but an army recruiter came to our house to try to recruit me. And
no way.
yeah, and the only reason I said no was because of what we went over on this answer just now is like, and I remember telling mom, I was like, I don't want to join the military because I like who I am as a person, and I don't want to become like serious and like
Yeah.
I don't want to change my life. I like who I am. I like having fun, blah 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 blah. Like, and that's exactly why I didn't
Hmm.
want. I could have enlisted at fucking 18 years old, sis, before I got into all kinds of
That would have been
trouble.
crazy.
But yeah, I told her after the recruiter left, I told my mom, I was like, nah, I'm not. I don't want to do it. I like where I'm at. But yeah,
Wow.
so it's crazy that you went over that answer of like
Yeah.
you're not robotic. We're human beings, etc. So
Yeah.
good
Definitely.
elaboration.
Definitely.
All right, cool. So
Thank
next
you.
question, sis, is this is the last one on the marine life. What's a lesson that the Corps taught you that you think everyone should learn?
Ooh, that's a good question. By the way, I thought about, answering these questions ahead of time, but I wanted to do a free for all because I feel like it would come from the heart.
Yeah.
I feel like if I just, this is what I'm going to say, it's not natural. What's a lesson the Corps taught you that you think everyone should learn? One step at a time,
Okay.
you know? Uh, I need to stop saying, because you don't know. Um,
Oh shit.
I feel like that's more of my motto. That's what at least it taught me. One step at a time, you know. And what I mean by this is sometimes people say, how did you get there? Oh, you do this, you do that, you do this, you do that. I don't think about the big goal because I don't want to do it at the end of the day. I don't want to get my ass up and, go for a run. I don't want to go to school. I don't want to, I don't want to do certain things. I don't want to make my bed. I don't
Yeah.
want to fold the laundry,
Yeah.
you know? But sometimes you have to do it one step at a time.
Yeah.
And I feel like in the military, there's so many big things that you're given, you're told to do, and you're like, I have to step out of my boundaries, my comfort zone, and I have to do that.
Hmm.
And it's going to freak you out. At
Yeah.
least, I freak out a lot.
Yeah.
But you just got to, put one foot in front of the other, pick up that pen, get on that computer, make that first step. You know what I mean? So
One step at a time.
that's the kind of the lesson the Marine Corps taught me, at least,
Yeah.
that everyone should understand is just take it one step at a time. Just, it's okay. Just think about the small goals. It's all right. And you can get where you need to be, at least doing those steps. Don't
Okay.
be fucking lazy.
That's a great answer, sis. I like it. Okay.
Thanks,
One
God.
step at a time. I don't remember exactly what the quote is, but I think it's somewhere in the terms of one one big journey begins with one single step or some shit like that. I'm sure you've heard it, but I totally butchered that. I Joe Biden that one, but um, but yeah, that was a good answer, sis. I like it. The next category is motherhood. This is going to be an interesting one too. So the first question in the motherhood category is, how has being a mom changed your perspective on life?
Oh, it allowed me to be patient. I feel like one of the biggest things that it helped me change my perspective on life was to love myself a lot more.
Mhm.
The appreciation of just being a mother, the idea of just being a mother to a beautiful human being. It has really given me the opportunity to appreciate myself and love myself, you know, understand like what it really means to love yourself a little bit more. And
Mhm.
I mean, some people have it differently. They find that a little bit differently. But for me, it was so special. And, now we have Sophia.
Mhm. Yeah.
But being a mom has really, really changed my perspective. I feel like, some of the things I've said even before being a mother, I would never, never say now, especially being a mom. You know, the I the point of a human life, especially the one I birthed, is a whole different, approach
Mhm.
to the way of actual love and the actual, care. So it
Okay.
has changed a huge thing in perspective.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, sis.
Yeah.
Number 7. What surprised you most about becoming a parent?
Being a parent, I couldn't, I guess it never really hit me. I think when Sophia was like around, not even one, I was just like, oh my God, like I'm a
Yeah.
mom. It still doesn't hit me. Sometimes I look at her and I'm just like, I'm her mom.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like, you know what I mean? Like I am that beautiful human being's mom. It's crazy. Being a parent, it comes with a lot of responsibility.
Yes, it does.
And the only way you really see that is because doesn't it always like trigger you sometimes whenever, you hear people talking that aren't parents,
Oh, yes.
they're like, I
Yes.
would never do that.
Yes.
I can't believe, they would ever do something like this. Besides TikTok, I don't want to bring up TikTok and those videos of, children getting abused and stuff. Like, we're not going to talk about that.
Yeah.
I just mean like, natural conversations that other single kind of never had a child in her life except their niece,
Yeah.
you
Yep.
know, they just talk all this crap about, this whole, if I'm a parent, I would beat the shit out of my child, or,
Yeah.
I'll let them get hurt and I'll do this and that and blah,
Yeah.
blah, And it's like, do you really not, you, and it's not their fault. They never had that child
Mhm.
to nurture.
Mhm.
They don't know their child yet. They don't know how much love that child is going to provide to them
Yeah.
without me even just saying Google Gaga,
Yeah. Mhm.
it's gonna, it's, it's surprising. That's surprising to me, and when I hear things like that, it makes me wonder like, wow, being a parent is a huge responsibility,
Yeah.
regardless whether it's loving, providing love, giving love, taking care,
Yeah.
getting up in the morning, you know, you need something, crying, holding, just every little thing about being a parent, it matters
Yeah.
because, you know, obviously, I know we're going to get to my book later on, but as a child, a lot of those poems I wrote when I was a child.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's a lot of things that can mold a child with even the smallest bit of hellos and I love yous and, you know, even like the negative aspects.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of little things that can mold that child and they will always carry that forever and they can trigger that child forever. It's a lot of things that a child can really grasp onto to this idea of what is love, who is love, what is care, how to carry themselves.
Yeah.
And I feel like when I, as a parent, take care of Sophia, love Sophia, I'm going to have my downfalls. I'm going to have my triggers as a mother, but I do my best to hold her when she cries,
Mm-hmm.
tell her how beautiful she is, acknowledge her little, hey, mommy, I poopied in the toilet.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's just the wonderful thing about being a parent. I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah. It's crazy
I
that we
think it's
don't
great.
get a instruction manual on how to be a parent, right? Like every experience is different. Not every parent, not every mom and dad is gonna experience the exact same things in the exact same ways, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think you put it beautifully on the explanation of what it is to become a parent. Um, yeah, it's each experience to their own. So that's a good answer, sis.
Oh, definitely, definitely. And I just want to, like, I'm glad that you pointed out in the beginning of this was that this is all about me, like my perspective. And the only reason why I'm saying that is because I every single time I respond to these questions, I think of, you know, people that are not in the same situation that I am, that never were in the situation that I was,
Yeah,
and I want to sympathize for that, but this is it from my perspective.
yeah,
This is where I'm coming from. This is, you know, what I've experienced in life
hmm,
and how I come about it.
yeah,
You know,
yeah. Spotlights on you, sis. So,
I just wanted to put that out because
yeah,
I know there's people probably in really hard spots right now, and you know, I don't want them to think that you know I don't understand necessarily, and because I don't maybe,
yeah,
but I just want to help people understand the difference between my life and their life.
gotcha. Yeah, and I'm sure they will as again as they're listening to your questions, they see the type of person that you're reflecting yourself off of. So that's good, sis.
So
Next question. What's something that Sophia, your child, your daughter, that people don't know, has taught you that has surprised you?
communication,
Okay.
yeah, patience. She has taught me how to be better at communicating and how to be more patient. Definitely. The reason why I say this is only because I'm never good at being able to express myself verbally, even now to this. I mean, obviously, sometimes people don't even know what the heck I'm talking about. But I've always had a hard time being able to express myself.
Okay.
I've always had a hard time being able to say how I feel, and in results of that, um, there would be conflicts.
Yeah.
And she was able to teach me to be able to be better at communicating, not only with her, but with other people, and also being able to be patient. You know, she allows me to see my shortfalls,
Mm-hmm.
and unfortunately, is because she gets sad at my shortfalls. But I was, I am able to do better at that now. You know, especially with my husband and I, and the people I work with sometimes.
Yeah.
um, but that's what she was able to teach me.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
and it surprised me because I have never been good at just being able to express myself. That's why I wrote. And maybe even in my book, you can't even understand. But it's like I have a way of expressing myself,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm able to describe it on a book in writing. But when I speak it, or when I used to speak it, it was very hard.
Yeah.
It came out like mean. It came off, annoying.
Yeah.
And now I'm able to like actually express myself through tone, through actual body language, and being able to like say certain things to be able to actually pinpoint what I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah.
So
It seems
it's
like it
very
was a
important.
conduit. It seems like a writing. You started off good, like you saying not being able to express yourself verbally or physically, and then writing it down was the best way to express yourself. It seems like you made it a conduit into um, being able to do that after writing
Mm-hmm.
over the course of time, over the years that you wrote. It seems like it was a conduit for you to be able to also express yourself physically and verbally. So
Yes.
that's good, sis.
Thanks, bro.
Yeah, yeah, no problem. Um, Next one. How do you explain your job to Sophia?
I gotta go talk to a lot of people. It's gonna be boring, Sophia. I let her see it all. Like, she comes to my job and she's able to see what I do, which I'm in, I'm 65, 31. I'm an ordinance O level. And I'm basically in this room. And since I'm, you know, the senior person there,
Mm-hmm.
at least the staff in CYC, not the senior, well, yeah, the senior center. But she's able to see that, and she just knows I'm on the computer typing all the time, getting up, having to go talk to this person, typing all the time. Okay, shh, hold on, let me do this what I do. But she also sees I have to go for a run. I have to go work out, and I let her see that,
Yeah.
to let her understand that my responsibilities for my job get you candy.
Okay.
So,
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
um, she gets it. She knows that I'm a Marine. She still has questions what I need to do. Do I have to work? Do I have
Mm,
to go there? Even when I went on deployment, she knew she was kind of a little, very little when I left on deployment, but she still had an understanding that mommy has to go.
yeah.
Mommy needs to go. I think it was very hard on her at
Oh,
first,
for sure.
for like the first 3 years, even just getting up, going to work. It was hard for her because she's just a mommy's girl. I
Yeah.
can't, but I think now she gets it. Mommy has responsibility, and I try to express that to her what responsibility means,
Yeah.
because that's the biggest thing. That's how we care for each other. That's how we're able to have a home. This is how we're able to eat, to provide, you
Yeah.
know, and it's because I need to go and do what I need to do.
Okay. Yeah.
If it's time away from you, baby, we have to understand, you know, and I am so grateful that, Brandon is here and able to, give his time. He doesn't have to do that, but he does that because he loves her and he loves this life that we live.
Yeah.
We're married and, all that stuff. But I'm so grateful that he had the first 4 years with her, just being with her.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, it's awesome.
Shout out to
I'm
my
so
brother Brandon,
grateful.
by the way. Yeah. Hell yeah. Yeah, you guys are doing a great job. And we see that from the
Thank you,
outside.
girl.
So, yeah. All right. Next question. Oh, by the way, I'm going to interject real quick. Earlier, when you were talking and I said, oh no, it's because something happened on my end and it cut off, and I thought the whole recording cut off. So I just wanted, yeah,
Oh,
that's why I was like, oh no, while you were talking. So it's not, it
yeah.
wasn't, I wasn't responding to or interjecting. It's because I thought the recording turned off. I was like, oh no, I was like freaking out. So, but then I came
No,
back to
you
it
know
and I found
what?
it was
It's
recording.
sometimes it like you go away and I don't see you, but I'm still going.
Yeah, yeah, good.
And
Okay.
I'm like, yeah,
Perfect. Yeah.
yeah.
So, yeah. And
You'll see me
then
pause a little bit, but
yeah, so
I'm
yeah, I
still
just want to
going.
let the viewers know that this is our first time using the virtual thing right here to record this podcast. So we're going through some kinks right now, but yeah, if you see us freaking out or pausing or whatever, it's technical difficulties. So okay, moving on. Number 10. How do you find time for yourself while being a mom and everything else you have going on in life?
There's no balance to anything. You'll see me going to downstairs needing to, work on something, and then all of a sudden I'm laying on the couch and then I'm doing something else on the iPad, and then all of a sudden I go over there, pick up something. There is no time.
Yeah,
You have to find it.
yeah.
I feel like, actually, you know what? One of my seniors, Matt Coker, shout out, um, he taught me something, that there is no balance
Okay,
in anything that you do.
okay.
And I know to understand that because, I'm trying to come from this point perspective or this idea where there has to be balance in drinking water, balance in managing your home life, managing being a wife, managing being a mother, managing being at work.
Mm-hmm.
There has to be balance. There's not.
Hmm.
And I was always wondering, like, why am I going freaking crazy trying to be, mentally stable and still trying to succeed at, being able to hit my macros and stuff like that. Like, how am I going this insane?
Yeah.
You're gonna go insane. It's supposed to be this way, you know, for you to be able to be to in a certain place that you want to be at. You have to get used to this life,
Mm.
you know,
Okay.
and you don't find time being a mom. You just have to make the time,
Okay.
because I could be like, busy doing my homework, and Sophia is jumping on her little thing, and I have to take my attention, my time away from my homework and just make that for her and show her, like, hey, I see you. That is freaking awesome.
That's very
Or just
insightful.
even going out to the park, you know, I think that something is very important, and I have to get this done. But if you really think about it, if you stop and tell yourself, is this more important than this moment than I can have with Sophia?
Mm.
You know what I mean? Is it
Mm.
really that important? Can I get this done a little bit later?
Yeah.
Can I do this? Can I put this on hold and give that Sophia this like moment that she's gonna take with for the rest of her life?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
That's
my life has already been almost lived. I mean, I'm only 32, but I'm not there yet. But but she's not gonna be 5 years old on day two,
Mm-hmm.
forever. And I just gotta force myself because I can be busy,
Yeah.
and sometimes I have to like stop and think and remove myself away from what I'm doing to go and be with her.
Yeah.
And I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get so caught up in the moment and I'm just like, like, okay, I got to do this, I got to do that. Hold on, Sophia. Hold on, baby. Hold on.
Yeah.
And then I regret those moments because later on, I'm like, why didn't I pick her up?
Mm.
Why didn't I just like, hold her? Why didn't I just go and do what she wanted to do? So that's how I learned to just stop and think and realize, recognize myself in that moment and be like, is this more important?
Yeah.
You know?
Right. Yeah.
So,
Because you're not going to be able to capture those moments ever again because they're only getting older. And
yeah.
when Sophia's 18 and going off to college and whatnot, doing her own thing, you're gonna look back and reflect at those moments like, yes, I'm glad I took the time to, you know, acknowledge her and these little, like you said earlier, like acknowledge these little
Yeah.
moments, right? And if you don't, for the parents out there who do take those moments for granted, they're gonna be regretting that, right? They're gonna be
Yeah.
kids are gonna be moved out and they're gonna be like, damn, I wish I would have fucking threw some pitch and catch with my son or my daughter back when he was 10 years old. Or, I wish I would have read this book to, like, my daughter or my son was begging me to read this book, but I was too busy on my homework. And, I regret that. Kind of like that. So, yes,
Yeah.
it's very, I'm glad you put it that way. Like, you gotta
Yeah.
capture those moments. Mm-hmm.
It's a simple glances,
Yeah.
that matters. Like, just think about it, right? You right now doing something, right? How good does it feel for someone to just like look at you at what you're doing?
Good. Very good.
Now, that's like 100 times more of a feeling for a child.
Mm-hmm.
They love it. They love being seen, they love being given that attention. It's fun to them.
Mm-hmm.
They love that, and I want her to feel good about that.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I see you. I'm so proud of you, and I can tell when she comes up to us, she's like, look. And then she just has this huge smile on her face because she knows, like, that
Yeah.
feels so good
Yeah.
to be seen.
That's good. And it's
She
all
doesn't have
part
to
of the
do anything, and
development.
she loves being seen,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So,
And it's all part of the development. Like part of growing up.
yes.
So they realize that. That's a good answer, sis. All right. Moving on to the category of author life. Sis is an
Mm.
author. So that sounds pretty cool. I like that. Um, First question in the author life category. What led you to start writing?
You know, you don't know. um, I started writing when I was younger. And when I say young, I mean like in elementary school. And I'm gonna kind of start off talking about like the crazy things, and then I'm gonna go ahead and elope to like the emotion of it, and then all the stuff. Right? It's funny because when I started writing, I was creating these little stories, and it was kind of weird stories where there was a lot of toxicity and fighting between family members, and that was my way of expression.
Mm-hmm.
And I think about it now, and I feel like I kind of grabbed that idea from therapy
Okay.
because I don't know if you remember in family therapy, we would have to kind of draw what we were doing or like put together this little family or this little build structure thing.
Yes, I remember
It's
those
called
activities.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I take psychology, but I don't remember. And that was my way of just being able to be expressive and creative. That was interesting to me, was being able to write, you know, somebody fell and got hit and now they're bleeding.
Mm.
It was cool to me. And then it ventured off into those angry moments, those sad moments. And I always remember like actually physically writing it down. Like I could pull out my papers, my poems, and being like, I remember that moment, why I wrote that.
Mm.
Because it was that intense.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the only thing that was able to help me, because I never again had a way to be able to actually express myself. Every time I did express myself, it was like, and it's okay, mom, relax. But I always felt like I just felt like I was just not doing the right thing.
Gotcha.
Felt like I would get in trouble,
Mm.
you know. I didn't feel like me being sad was okay.
Mm.
I didn't feel like if I said this made me mad, I felt like that was wrong.
Okay.
And I didn't have any other way of expressing myself. I felt so closed. I felt very, I felt isolated in my own body and in my own mind,
Okay.
that even when I was, getting in trouble and stuff like that, I felt like that was just an occurrence of things that would allow me to be able to write the things that I felt, the things that I was going through. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what led me to start writing. It was never something like, oh, I want people to understand where I'm coming from. It was more of just for me to understand where I'm coming from,
Gotcha.
because it was hard for me to be able to express that to other people.
Okay. All right. Very insightful. Next question is, do you remember the first piece you ever wrote that felt truly meaningful to you?
I don't.
Okay.
Because everything that I had written was all meaningful.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Um, if something you make sense, I would like for you to question.
Yeah.
But everything I had written was out of anger, spite, and hate.
Okay.
And I don't want to make it sound like it is meaningful, because, you know, hateful things, you shouldn't evolve off of that. But at the same time, everything that I have written, it all meant something to me. And I literally like appreciate that, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't remember the first thing that I had written. I just remember glimpses of it. Um, I turned it into a book.
Yeah.
Um, but there's not a specific one,
Okay.
because all of the moments that happened in my life, they were a lot of turnarounds, and I I'm glad I wrote it, so that way I was able to turn it into something.
Okay. I like it, sis. I like it. Next question. Do you find writing therapeutic or challenging, or both?
It's both, I would say. Well, at first it's therapeutic. You know what I mean? If it for challenging, the only reason why it would be challenging is because, obviously I'm working on my next book, so the only challenging thing is being able to go back and like sit there and be like, what the heck am I talking about?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's the only challenging thing.
Okay.
Again, I write these off of like actual true raw like emotion.
Mm-hmm.
So when I reread those moments, I have to go back to that.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm not in that, mental state. Sometimes I'm just fine. I'm actually stable
Mm-hmm.
for an hour of the day, but it's like, I have to go back to that actual emotion. And that's one of the biggest things about my book is if you have to shift your mental state to a certain like way, or unless you are in that, dark place, that's the only way to understand, unless like you try to force yourself to understand and now you're getting this a whole idea and it's not going to make sense.
Yeah.
But it's a totally different state of a mindset,
Okay.
and that's the only thing I find challenging, was because I have to go back to that mental state when I'm trying to reread it and rewrite it to make more sense for the reader themselves, and even just for me.
Yeah. Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
That's a good answer, sis.
thank you.
And this next question, even though well, let me ask it first and then. What's been your proudest moment as an author? And it's a fresh
My
category
proudest,
for you, so go for it.
my proudest moment as an author is being able to read my own book.
Hell yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah.
um, I love being able to like open up my pages and being able to like, just wow, like, and even now, like I still cry at my poems because it's like obviously I'm the only one that knows what really happened,
Yeah.
but that's like my proudest moment. Like I love that. It makes it gives me like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And I can do more. I go do this,
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that's one of the most greatest things. And I love that I wrote it. And I don't know if you read my last poem, Dear You. And have you read it?
No, I haven't read the last poem.
You haven't?
No.
So I wrote that when I was out in Yemen.
Okay.
And I remember singing that. You've been in Yemen, have you?
No. Where the
No.
hell's that?
So I don't
Educate
even,
me.
maybe I should have disclosed too much classified information, but yeah, it's just like, I remember sitting there and I was wanting to speak to myself as a child,
Okay.
think about like, my my little me,
Yeah.
and I wanted to tell my little me it's okay. And then I also thought about wanting to tell my little baby Sophia to be strong.
Hmm.
So there's a lot of things that intertwine in that. And then I feel like just reading that just makes me feel so good every single time. Even like the dark moments in there, it
Mm-hmm.
just makes me feel really good as an author, as being able to just say that I did that.
That's
You know?
powerful. Yeah. And the first part of the question, or the first part of your answer, of you saying that you looking at the book, I did the exact same thing, sis. When the day I received your book, I opened it, and I've already done this a couple times. I'm gonna admit it to you. When I first opened the package you sent to me, it just took me it took a while to hit me, sis. I was like, God damn, like my sister wrote a fucking book. That's crazy. And then I took the
Thank you,
book
brother.
to work with me the next day, and I just sat there and I just looked at the book. I flipped through the pages, looked at the front, looked at the back, and I was just like amazed. Like, you fucking did it, sis. Like, it's crazy. So
Thank
it was like
you.
surreal. So I can only imagine what you're experiencing is as to you looking at your own fucking book. because I was fucking like flabbergasted. I'm like, I'm fucking holding my sister's book in my hand. That's fucking crazy. So yeah, that's awesome, sis. Congrats
It
on getting that book
honestly
out there
might
too.
be a 10 times more of a feeling for you than it is for me,
I
you
doubt that.
know?
No
I,
fucking way.
I'm pretty sure. Like, it feels like amazing to me, and hearing that you say that, it makes me feel so good.
Yeah,
And
sis.
that makes me feel 10 times more than you feel now. Because it's like,
Yeah.
you know,
Fuck yeah.
like it is pretty crazy. And
Yeah.
I honestly, I never thought about it again as like, just like, oh, I'm going to write a book today,
Mm-hmm.
it was, I just didn't want to think of it like that. Again, it was step by step.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at publishers. Obviously, before I did that, I put all my poems together, and I was like, this could be something, I want people to understand, like, they're not the only ones that feel this way,
Mm-hmm.
you know? Who cares about the love poems? Bring in the dark ones. Where's the hard moments that people naturally do feel,
Yeah.
and if you want to feel some happy moments, go turn into the good poems, but mine is just supposed to provide you a view of like someone that is a woman and that was a child before, and the involvement of that child into the woman,
Mm-hmm.
so
Yeah. Okay.
hope I made sense of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
And
see,
then
I'm still having a hard time.
I'm gonna bring up another question that's not on the list here, just because
Yeah.
I just thought about it. So after this next question, if I forget, remind me to ask you, because
Hmm.
this was supposed to be this next question was supposed to be the last question, but I just thought of something else. So next question: what do you hope your readers walk away with after reading your book?
Love for themselves,
Okay.
patience for themselves, an awareness that it's okay to be in those sad moments, and I hope that they're sad enough to just be happy now,
Okay.
you know, um, because only some people can take so much of just being in this like hard place.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just want to be happy, and I just hope that they take this younger me, this woman of who I am, and understand that, like, we're not all different. We all feel like we just want to not continue sometimes, and I'm not saying that into a terrible way, but sometimes whenever something happens, it feels like the end of the world,
Mm-hmm.
and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to feel like the end of the world because it's just a moment. And when they see this book and they see me now,
Yeah.
I'm not, I'm okay.
Mm.
I was able to pursue things little by little, even still having these ideas, these thoughts, this true raw emotion. I'm still able to be alive. I'm still able to survive every day,
Yeah.
So that's something I wish for them to take.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Perseverance, sis. I like it. So my next
Yeah.
question is, after releasing your first book, do you plan on continuing to write or release more books later on down the road?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
So I'm right now working on my next book. It'll possibly release around 2028,
Okay.
maybe sooner. This is just an estimate of time. I'm just right now reworking on the poems and then I'm gonna go back through my publisher, and we'll go ahead and just release it
Okay.
whenever it's ready. Honestly, because I'm not gonna say I'm in the craziest place in the world right now, the best place.
Yeah.
I still deal with a lot of challenges mentally. It's a struggle for me, and there's nothing I've been diagnosed with or anything, not yet. Um, but I do still deal with a lot of challenges.
Of course.
You know, I struggle. There's moments that I'm fine, like right now, but I have dealt with a lot of anxiety,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes I get in really dark places, and I do want people to know that like your mental health, it's you can be okay,
Yeah.
you know, and I don't want people to feel alone with their thoughts. I want them to know that there's someone like me that's able to feel the same way that they feel. Sometimes people just want to be heard, and I want them to know that I hear them,
Mm.
you know,
Okay.
and it's kind of like when you talk to someone and you don't want to hear like it's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to hear that. You want to hear, you want to know that somebody's listening, and then come on, talk shit with me. You know, let's
Mm-hmm.
talk shit together. And that's what I want my next book to come out about.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be similar to your first release.
It's gonna be just a bit similar.
Okay.
The narrative idea is going to be more of just like a woman like now. You know, my obviously once upon a time, it was more of just like a child, you know, evolving into, you know, this upbringing and her life, how it has become. Now, my next book is going to be just like a chapter two in a way, like just turning the page.
Okay.
Um, I do want to disclose something though.
Yeah.
Um, for a long time, I was dealing with a lot of childlike thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was going through, you know, alcoholism and just doing things I shouldn't be doing, I felt like that was a reach for a way to like be held and loved and cared for. But I was like searching for it in all the wrong ways.
Yeah.
And when I came to this, you know, this idea of, you know, putting all my poems together, it was the direct meaning was to show that like being a child, it can be hard when you feel alone,
Mm-hmm.
when you can't feel love, even if there is that, you know, support and love there. It's hard to find it when you have been feeling alone for a long time, you
Yeah.
know. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Okay. Yeah. I think that's an interesting point to put out there.
Yeah.
Because some, you know, a lot of people won't understand. So when you explain it to them, it's them putting two and two together, right?
Yeah.
So the last category here we got, sis, is personal growth and reflection.
Hmm.
The first question in this category is, what have you learned about yourself through being a Marine, a mom, and a writer? And a caveat to this question is, what's your proudest accomplishment in each of those roles?
What I've learned about myself through being a Marine, a mom, and a writer, and also a wife. Holy crap.
Touche.
This man taught me a lot. I can't stress it enough. I'm just doing my best. I can't put my finger on it, but I'm just living, you know? It's I feel like there's nothing more that I'm doing and there's nothing less that I'm doing, you know? So I've learned about myself as just being patient, a better communicator, loving, and understanding. And as for being a Marine, that's a whole different story.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I'm about to fuck people up. That's all I'm gonna say.
Hell yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. They drive me nuts. Being a Marine is great. It's fun. I feel like trying to put all these um, things together is difficult because I do keep them separate.
Hmm.
You put me in uniform, not in this. I'm a different person,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, and it's only because it's not necessarily a mask, but it is my own perception of myself that I need to carry to survive the days that I need to survive.
Okay.
Again, being a woman is different in the military.
Hmm.
I can't just, throw myself out there and just be liked by everybody. Being a mom, I have to be nurturing.
Yeah.
I have to learn how to be a better, communicator. Being a wife, I have to be more patient.
Hmm.
Being a writer, I just have to love myself a little bit more, It's just everything is hard to put it all together, but I have learned different things from every single little thing.
Okay. Yeah.
And the proudest accomplishments in each role is just as a Marine, it is just to it's only for myself really. Um, it's being able to achieve things that were a struggle for me at first and being able to see Marines grow into someone they never thought they could be, only because I was able to be the bad guy
Mm.
and someone else was able to be the good guy,
Okay.
you know?
Yeah.
And as a mother, you know, seeing Sophia smile and healthy and breathe and hear her heartbeat.
Hmm.
And as a writer, of course, seeing people just, I want to hear more of what people think about my book,
Yeah.
Um, I can't wait to hear that. Maybe it's going to take time. Maybe I need to be better at promoting my book. But um, I want to hear more what people think.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
sis. That's a good answer. Next question is, how do you stay mentally and emotionally grounded?
Get out your tea. I think I need to fill my cup of coffee because I'm out. um, how do I stay mentally and emotionally grounded? That's a good question. I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
I feel like one of the biggest thing is being able to have those that I love, that truly love me, you know, there for me. You
Yeah.
know, I appreciate that I kept my people on this hand. I am happy that I don't have more than that,
Mm.
because if I had more than that, and as negative as I am on myself, it would be more.
Okay.
And the reason why I have this support system here is because they are the most loving, most positive people I can look up to, and people that can push me. And I am happy I have that, because it's like one of the ways that is able to keep me mentally and emotionally grounded.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, shit, look at you. You know, you're a go-getter. You're strong. You know, I think about you a lot. I think about Steps McIntyre, you know, Casket Mac. When I was joining the military, I didn't mention him earlier, but he was one of the people that, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here.
Okay.
Um, I think about that a lot in moments of, you know, when there's a lot of tribulation going on. I think about those people, because it's like, if you guys are able to overcome all this, if you guys were able to help me get here, I'm able to do it, you know? And when I'm actually like mentally, like, and emotionally, like fucking locking myself in the room and I darken it out and I don't want nobody to talk to me, I need to be alone, I'm just, you know, isolating myself. I just let myself feel in those moments,
Okay.
and then I come out.
Okay.
You know, I give myself that patience, like it's okay to feel. And then when I come out, you know, I start pursuing little things here and there, but it's a circle for me. You know, I'm still working on all of that. But yeah, that's how I stay mentally and emotionally grounded. It's just
Okay.
having a great support system. You, mom, my husband, you know, my mother-in-law. It's just,
Yeah.
it's a big thing. It's huge.
Yeah, it is.
Without those people that love you, that truly love you, it's going to be hard. It's because if you have somebody that's constantly nagging and throwing things your way, it's like it's going to be hard to move forward with yourself, if that
I
makes
agree.
sense.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Next question. If you could give advice to your younger self, kind of correlates with your books, right? When you're writing, what would it be?
Dear you. Just don't care about what other people think. Don't care. You know, don't be scared,
Yeah.
and it's going to be okay, no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the reason why I put something in my book, that just to keep that faith and just to keep going, it's going to be okay, is because I wish I was able to hold on to that, you know, idea of spirituality and, you know, religion and stuff like that. I don't. I'm not religious or anything anymore. Um, but I wish I could tell my younger self that not to care what other people think, and it's gonna be okay. You know, it's just very important. I feel like a lot of myself when I was younger, I worried about what other people thought, regardless whether I was telling the truth. And I was scared to tell the truth. I was scared to be honest with myself, to be my true self. And I worried a lot about what other people thought,
Mm.
the way I looked, the
Yeah.
way I carried myself, the way I smiled. And I cared a lot, so much about what other people thought about me,
Mm.
that it put me in positions that I probably shouldn't have been in, or it made me feel more like shit,
Okay.
you
Yeah.
know? So,
Yeah. Yeah. That's very insightful as well, sis. I think I think your viewers should take that into account, especially the younger ones, you know,
yes.
because you're going to have readers of all ages, right? So if they
Mm-hmm.
happen to come across this answer of yours, I think it would benefit those young people a lot, right? Don't care what other people
Definitely.
think, which is huge. It's fucking huge. Huge impact.
Very big.
Um, last two questions, sis.
Mhm.
How do you define strength?
Strength. I don't know. It depends on your determination. How
Okay.
determined are you?
Okay.
You know what I mean? So it's like, oh my God, I need to stop saying that because you don't know what I mean. Mom said this the other day. She was like, you gotta stop saying that
Yep.
because people don't know what you think.
And she did tell me too. She's like, I told her not to say after everything. Let's see how many times she does. Like, yeah, I'm not gonna keep count though.
You probably are counting. You probably have a paper and a
No,
pencil right over there.
no, no. It's just natural.
Oh, she's gonna get so bugged by this. You know what I mean?
Oh shit.
Oh shit. No, I'm just kidding. Um, how do you define strength? Yeah, it all depends on your determination.
Okay.
How bad do you want it?
Mm,
And that's when you can really see your true strength.
that's a good fucking answer.
Uh, that's why I say, like, I love pushing myself to these limits. You know, it's the only thing that makes me feel good about myself because that's when I'm able to see how like far I can go, regardless whether it's, overloading myself or putting myself through like this craziness and all of a sudden Sophia wants to like pull me aside to say, "Hey mom, look at me.
Mm,
Do you see that?" I
yeah.
love how I'm able to like put myself in those situations and realize that like, damn, I was able to do that. Like
Yeah.
like yes. And strength, it can come in all different kinds of sizes and colors in every single way.
Yeah.
But it all depends on how determined you are.
Okay. I like your
Yeah.
definition. Good answer. And last question, but definitely not the least. What legacy do you want to leave for Sophia and your readers?
Legacy. Can you give me a definition?
So, pretty much, how do you want to be remembered?
I was able to be here. I was able to live and to continue to live and to love myself in different ways. That's what I want her to remember.
Okay.
And that I was able to be vulnerable with who I am. And that's the type of legacy I want to provide because being vulnerable. Can you hear me, sir? Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, I can hear you.
Being vulnerable. Um, Not a lot of people can do that nowadays. Some people can just, be someone else because they're afraid to show who they really are. And I feel like being vulnerable is so beautiful and so raw, and you don't get that nowadays. You
Mm-hmm.
kind of just get this idea of what vulnerability is, but who are you really? You know, and I think that getting that from time to time is so amazing. You know, and that's what I want to leave. That's what I want the type of legacy you know, for Sophia and my readers is to know that this is just me. This is who I am. And it's not going to get any better and hopefully not worse. So, yeah.
my glasses.
Uh-oh. Okay, I'm back.
Experiencing technical difficulties.
Okay, so I
Oh,
went
in this
out
case.
for like a couple of minutes. I don't know if you noticed. You probably did notice. But yeah, I did hear pretty much the entire answer, sis. And if I didn't, I'm gonna go back and listen to it. But
Hey, yo, bro.
yeah, like I said, this is a learning process for
bro.
the both of us. Can you hear me? Sis, can you hear me or see me?
Bro is gone.
Okay, so I guess we
What do
cannot hear or
talk
see each
about
other.
now?
Let's try this.
Read my book. Once upon a time, coming in your stores. Don't get out of line.
Can you see me? Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
So that was weird. That was weird as hell. I don't know.
I was second. I busted out.
I saw. So that's the thing. I cut out. I came back, and then I saw you like, bro. And then I could see you doing that, but you couldn't hear or see me. So
Couldn't hear shit.
So that's gonna be interesting in the editing process. I'll try to work. I'll try to work with that. Okay, but yeah, so that was cool. This is gonna be a very interesting interaction when I put everything into the final edit. But sis, yeah, that was the last question I had for you. The answers that you gave were very deep, very insightful. I really loved having you on the podcast. And then we'll go ahead and wrap it up, and you can go ahead and let the followers know where to find you on your social media, both your personal and your book page.
Yeah, I'm still looking. I am poetry. Just follow me. I know I have a video, but again, I'm trying to find time to give my time that aspect. You know, I'm still trying to do my best. Be patient with me. You can also find me on Instagram. It's poetry. And what is the new one? Cool. Yes, you can find me there, Whitney Poetry, as well as Facebook Poetry. And website, like poetry.com. And you can find my book, $12. You can also go to bookstore. You can get the audiobook or copy. This is what it looks like. Boop, boop, boop. Without reflection.
Hell yeah.
I had a hard time choosing cover, and this is the best I can get. I love black, and I will go.
Yes, black is the best
Let
color.
me choose a different color, and it's very hard.
All right, cool, sis. And is there anything else you feel you need to add, or just give a shout out to anybody, or just want to talk some shit, or whatever you feel like doing?
Yeah, I want to thank you so much for having me. It means a lot to me. Actually, was like having a panic attack before I was like, oh my god, this is gonna happen. So I was running around the stairs. I don't know why that. I just want to thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be here and to share my story. And I really hope people understand you never have to understand where I'm coming from, but thank you so much for the support. Like, I truly appreciate it, and it makes a huge difference for me. I love it. I love it. And hey, man, we're only going to go up from here.
That's right, sis.
That's all we can do.
It's only uphill from here, sis. That's damn right. Well, thank you
for.
Yeah, of course, sis. Well, thank you for joining me. Again, this is a fairly new thing for me too, hosting a podcast, and I knew I had to have you on my podcast, right? not only because you're my sister, I'm not biased or anything or playing favorites here, but because of your life, of the conversation that we carried, the questions I asked you. You're a very interesting person, believe it or not, and I just wanted the world to know, who I have as a sister. So thank you for joining me. I love you very much from the bottom of my heart. I love Sophia. I love Brandon. And this was a great time, great conversation we had. And again, thank you for joining me. Love you, sis.
I love you, brother. Thank you.
All right, everybody. Well, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the very next episode of Small Talk on the Mats.
Bye.